And all the areas that are now among the worst affected because of these floods were classified under the ecologically sensitive zones, so which clearly shows that such regions should be left untouched and with minimal developmental activity, it has been proceeded. And the report specifically wanted immediate stoppage of such illegal stone quarrying and sand mining activities in such regions. So, since it has continued, so such regions bear the highest brunt of such damage, and states, especially Kerala, has no choice but to scientifically and ecologically manage the land. So, land use pattern has to be strictly controlled. So, this is with respect to the first context. Now, moving on to the second context, with respect to the floods in Uttarakhand, the Char Dham Yatra has been temporarily halted, as we know. The all-weather highway which is being constructed, despite overall ecological costs and protests which it involved, that has also been affected. So such developmental projects also tend to get affected, tend to get undone because of such disasters happening in the progress. So again, we can classify the floods in Uttarakhand also into both man-made and natural reasons. So first, beginning with the natural reasons, the trigger for such disasters would be the same rainfall. There has been record-breaking rainfall again in the region, and IMD data clearly points that in the first 18 days of October, there has been 485% more than average rainfall. So there's a huge volume of water. And then Uttarakhand, as you know, recently reported by IMD, said that it reported over 7,750 extreme rainfall events and cloudbursts since 2015. So as we can see, the same point that extreme rainfall events is becoming a norm. So can be clearly confirmed from this fact that 7,750 extreme rainfall events took place since 2015, and majority of them have occurred in the last 3 years. So not to forget the 2013 Kedarnath tragedy also. And Forest Survey of India also confirms that in its last two editions, the state did not report even a 1% increase in forest cover between 2015 and 19. So such ecologically fragile regions need more forest cover, but because of deforestation activities ongoing, the state did not report even a 1% increase in forest cover between 2015 and 2019. Apart from it, we know that Himalayas has a complex hydrology because of numerous rivers flowing into it and numerous streams. Also, not to mention the glacial floods, glacial lakes being accumulated in the higher Himalayas. And the Himalayan mountains also, as we know, is techtonically unstable because of the plate motions involved. Apart from it, coming to the man-made reasons, this is largely same when you compare it with the Western Ghats. For example, building hydroelectric projects, construction of houses, hotels, basically tourism-related infrastructure, roads, cutting hill slopes, deforestation, and also concretization of water bodies. Nainital Lake being a very good example for this, without considering the fragile ecology. So the development paradigm is almost ignoring the fragile ecology involved. So that is why such disasters accentuate the problem. And one typical example is the environment ministry's acknowledgement that post the Kedarnath tragedy of 2013, the environment ministry accepted that deforestation, tunneling projects, blasting, and reservoir formation, so mainly the dam related issues, they need caution and careful study in the higher Himalayan region. So this was well acknowledged by the Environment Ministry post the Kedarnath tragedy. And yet, when in recent year this project was taking place, it's the same thing. The Uttarakhand's Chamoli district, which we saw in February this year, there was a washing away of Tapovan, Vishnugad, and Rishi Ganga hydel projects. So they were extensively damaged and even washed away. So this was in February this year, and recently we are witnessing this week also. So this is the context in which we are discussing this issue. And apart from it, often climate crisis is blamed for such disasters, but in reality, it is a combination of both climate crisis, the short-sighted policies such as the destruction in the name of development. This is what commonly ecologist Madhav Gadgil puts it. We are doing destruction in the name of development, and the election cycle focused governance. So, election cycle focused governance puts that these such projects have to be completed in a very fast pace, normally within 5 years, and such projects are pushed very fast. So, this is the man-made reasons. Apart from it, we also normally in the development model we use the same development model both in plains and hills. So uh, this doesn't work, and the hilly regions, especially Western Ghats and Himalayas, they needed alternate different developmental paradigm. So the same model which is used for Gangetic plains or other plain regions cannot be used for the hilly regions and ecologically fragile regions. So this we must acknowledge. So overall, the concluding remarks here can be that either in Western Ghats or Himalayas, there are pressing reasons for states to rethink the developmental paradigm due to the ecological fragility involved, both Himalayas as well as Western Ghats. So with studies and IPCC reports warning about more destructive floods, which are expected in future because of sea level rise, especially coastal flooding of Kerala and high intensity rainfall, the country can ill afford to delay investments in a disaster management system. So now it is becoming imperative for us to invest in disaster management systems to mitigate and adapt towards such changes. There's surely a case for greater coordination among forecasting agencies and reservoir management authorities, especially because of the numerous dams involved. So the timely opening of dams. So this will create more holding capacity in the reservoirs to absorb excess rainfall, and the riverine floods to some extent can be released. The timing of opening of dams also can provide some relief to such affected areas. And it's the key point that tinkering with ecologically fragile regions in the name of development must stop. So, as put by Madhav Gadgil, a famous ecologist, so we are doing development destruction in the name of development. So, this must be avoided in such ecologically fragile regions. And this pattern is similar in other parts of the country also. If you see in the rest of India, the problem of flooding, especially the urban flooding, is due to inadequate urban planning and lesser attention to the protection of natural water bodies such as wetlands, etc. So they provide crucial services like groundwater recharge and flood management. So this must also be acknowledged in the urban planning process, and we must invest in the climate sensitive planning and resilience because climate induced disasters are increasing, and so man-made reasons are accentuating it. So we must invest in climate sensitive planning because every region is differently vulnerable with respect to the climate change, and we must also nurture the biodiversity of the regions, not destroying the biodiversity. So biodiversity nurturing itself can act as a strong shield when such disasters take place. So overall, in the concluding remarks, we can say that policymakers and people must recognize that the surge in development projects is untenable in the current context as we're seeing it, because the economic, human, and social costs of such episodes are enormous, and they can also cost intergenerational damage. So, this overall three costs: economic, human, and social costs involved in such projects. So that is why such development projects or the current developmental paradigm being followed in such ecologically fragile regions must be relooked into. So overall, this topic can be relevant with respect to the current developmental paradigm, the role of conservation versus development, environment per se, GS3, as well as in the disaster context also, uh, overall with respect to man-made and natural reasons. So that's it. Thank you.